Well, three matches, one episode. No. Welcome back to Soundwaves from the Sea. We decided, I don't think we said it on the show last time that we were going to do these three matches, but considering that the Sounders played three matches over the course of 7 calendar days, we figured it would be best to just kind of lump these all together instead of the awkward, like, here's this one episode and then there's two. So, I mean, Seattle goes win, loss, draw in this span of three matches, which I mean, sure, we'll talk about how we feel about that. But the 3-1 victory against the Dynamo, Albert Rusnak with two goals. The legend of Danny Musovsky continues. Um, Midweek match in Los Angeles, not very good. Not very good. Um, Seattle rotates a good bit. And even then, I mean, just I felt bad. Owen mentioned that he actually got to sit down and watch this match, and
So
was
sorry.
was not a kind match to him. And then, going into Portland was a bit excited. You get excited, get some guys, especially again, I think Ryan Kent's comments um about playing in a rivalry had me a bit excited. And when Albert scored in the 30th minute, I said, "Oh, all right, they're getting going here." And it ends in a draw. I'm sure we'll go into the specific matches here, but I guess overall I want your guys' thoughts on this stretch because there was some comments in our group text about like the past few matches. So Owen, I guess I'll start with you since you're in the top corner. We're gonna from Mike's down the bottom. Just your thoughts about this stretch, and again, I'm sure we'll go into individual thoughts on individual matches.
Yeah, where I stand with this is I think it's always difficult when you put expectations on games before they're played. Sometimes it's like unavoidable. Sometimes you're playing a championship game or a rivalry game. But what the Sounders did this past week with a lot of pressure on them that, like we said, playing three games in not a lot of time is try to define what each game was going to be before they played it. They said, okay, our Houston game is our warm up game. Then said, with that rotation and with the effort they put in against LA, sent a very clear message about what they thought was important. And so I think in doing that, they influenced the opinion of going into your rival's house, top four in the Western Conference, and drawing 1-1. I think that feels less satisfying because of what they did than if it had been a standalone result. Um, yeah, I don't think 4 points is a terrible return, especially from 3-7 and in two difficult teams at Houston. Um, but you can't call this an above 500 satisfying result. I don't think.
That's where I disagree with you a little bit. I said this in the group chat that we have, but I'm not being negative, and I'm actually happy with this run of games. LAFC, it's its own thing. Like we'll get into that later. That was just horrendous, but in general, taking 4 points from three away days is is a good thing. Like I can't be too upset by it. We we had a lot of rotation in the second game. The third game against the Timbers, it was overall it was good. It was a really good game. We just couldn't finish the chances that we had, but I'm not overly upset.
No, see, that's like where I am, but I struggle because of the expectation they put on that Portland game. But
That's
because of the rotation, it's no longer just this is the last game in a 3 game road trip where they're tired and they're struggling. It becomes we rested our starters, we really got up for this game. Everything that Ryan Kent said, they're really putting a lot of expectation on getting a win out of this game. And when you don't get that, especially with how well they played and how much they couldn't finish in that game, it becomes frustrating, I
Would
think.
I be crazy in saying that because the LAFC result that my expectations were lower going into Portland?
I think so because of how different the squad was. I think if you had seen the Sounders first team or whatever your first choice lineup struggle against LAFC, then you say, okay, we got to recalibrate here. Danny Musovsky isn't as good as we think he is. That midfield is struggling against a genuinely good team. but that's not what we saw in LA. And so that's why I think that Portland result was more disappointing than it could have been. But I absolutely do get where you're coming from. I mean, 4 points from 3 away days, especially like considering the travel they did down to Texas and then across to LA and up to Portland. Like that's not an insignificant amount of time spent traveling.
I think you both make good points, of course. I mean, that's why we're here. But yeah, no, I mean like with Mike saying, it's like, hey, these are three road matches to play that and get these points. Yeah, I agree with that. And like there will be folks out there who just why don't you play your best there's the best team every match kind of folks. And I just don't think that's ever realistic, right? Like that's just not how these bodies work. As much as they are pro athletes, but also, like, I think the big thing to me about what Owen said was, the expectations that they did set, right? But, whether it was talking about it or, preparing for it, like, it was, hey, we're going to go full go for this match. It's your rivals, it's Cascadia Cup, so on and so forth. And so I was a little bit like, when you mentioned not finishing your chances. I'm like the amount of times Jesus Christ, 13 total shots. Um, you know, so I understand both ways. I'm not like certainly joyous about it. I'm fine with how you came out, but it does. I think overall feel like you certainly left more out on the table than you wanted to. We want to discourse the LAFC match because that certainly caused a stir, right?
Is that
I
where you want
feel
to start?
like,
Or do you want to start in Houston?
I mean, Houston's Houston, right? Like Danny Musovski continues his run, gets that goal in the 22nd. I mean, the red card was certainly interesting.
I
That
thought
was a
it
bit
very much changed
fascinating
the game.
for sure.
Do you guys think that was a red card?
I can
Like
see where they come
realistically?
from with it. Yeah, I think if you decide that's a handball, I always think it's difficult to say, hey, would somebody have gotten to the ball? But I think it's hard to say there wouldn't have been a very, very good chance. Which is generally I think what that threshold is.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
It's a tough one because he had honestly had a great game, and you hate to see it's just like it's a tough spot to be in, and I think that's something that probably comes with experience. But yeah, I do think it's a red card.
Okay.
I
Did
mean,
you?
yeah.
I
I would
didn't only
agree with
because it's
it.
the way the ball bounced. I thought it
Mm,
was both players going for 50-50. They both had their arms wrapped around each other.
Yeah.
There's really nothing in it, but the way the ball bounced and landed into his arm, I don't think it was denial of goal scoring opportunity, which is what the refs ultimately came
Mm,
to decision on. But like, I think he was hard done by the decision,
of course.
especially that early in the game. I understand making the call, especially that close to the box, but
Yeah,
I
I think
still don't
in that
think it
position,
was.
it's a difficult spot.
I think anywhere else you wouldn't make that call. You wouldn't. I don't think you
Yeah.
would even give a card. You just give a regular handball.
I was impressed. The one thing I kind of wanted to touch on was like coming out of the half, how aggressive they were. I feel like that's not something we've seen a ton. I feel like a lot of the time when we see the Sounders with a 1 goal lead, it's not quite like pack it in, but it's hey, let's be careful here, especially in quick change situations, like coming out of a half or right after a goal. They don't push a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was impressed by how quickly they got that second goal. And I think that was really, really the game changing moment. If they have to sit in that second half and kind of defend and pick apart a 10-man block, I think that game goes very differently.
I would say that was pretty refreshing. I mean, just seeing how this team has played, or I guess paying attention to it, because I mean, I've seen this team play for a while, right? But haven't paid attention to it for a job for the whole time. So yeah, I don't know. I can understand both thoughts with that red card because I mean he did score their goal, and I mean he is a good young player for Houston. So I understand it being tough, right? As it comes to how much are with this call you're impacting the match, right? Um, I don't know though. Like how much more do you want to discourse Houston,
No,
right?
let's get to LA.
I mean, that's good.
Uh,
Yeah.
um, Jesus Christ. Yeah, this one just
I want to. Oh, you know where I want to start this one?
Okay.
With the text I sent before this game.
Yeah, that's a good
Where is
one.
it? Where is it?
As soon as yeah, I was like, all right, Owen. So I went and
So
looked
I
back.
said 2-0 LAFC, concede early, then get burned on the counter, 47th minute. And honestly,
Well,
I think that was pretty close to what happened. I know there's two late goals, but like game's over at that point. Got burned on the
I
counter,
mean, yeah.
conceded in the first half. That's tough. Not early though. They almost conceded early.
Yeah, oh, yeah. No, I
But
mean, I, s-
I just think it kind of speaks though to like how predictable this game is and how much the Sounders struggle to defend very specific situations against the same players year after year after year.
yeah,
I honestly also felt like that Schmetz went into this game. This is going to sound insane, but he went into it knowing this what game didn't matter. He knew all eyes were on Portland. He went into it like, oh, let me just play the subs, a couple starters. I don't care about the result. That's how it felt watching this team play, watching when this lineup came out. It felt like he was just punching this away as just a regular old game and waiting for the Portland game.
I
And
think
that's
yeah,
how
I
that's
think
how
that's
the players felt out there too. That's how it the players were like moving, except for Rienzi. He was a baller that game, but like everyone else was just going through the motions.
yeah.
It wasn't
I do
even
want to shout out Kamara, man. That was an unbelievable game. Like
yes.
I think he has the starting spot. Honestly, yeah. Alex Rodon did play well against Portland for what it's worth, but that was a fantastic game against a very good left side,
Mhm.
and that was about all the good things I have to say about that game.
so this was a punt game.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, which like I don't know. It is kind of fun. Like this is largely not like just looking at this lineup, right? It's not that crazy of a lineup. To play against, I don't know, most of the league, right? I mean, Jesus Ferreira, you've got Dero up top, Pedro, Aleva, Zhao. Okay, wait, I do want to ask about, because I saw some comments about how Jean Paulo looked in this one. Uh, what did you guys see? Because I saw some very not great things. I understand it. Like I did think it was interesting when they brought him back this year, right?
I mean,
I'm not.
I've got a word for you.
Yeah.
I think he looked old.
He showed his age. 1000%
Yeah.
he showed his age.
Yeah.
And that's
Uh,
not to say he doesn't like have an impact on this team. I think what he does is very similar to what they would have asked Nicholas Ladero to
mm.
do.
He should be closing out games. He shouldn't be starting any going forward.
It's tough because he knows so much, but it's just
And it's just the
body's not quite
reality of the
there anymore.
situation, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a tough spot to be in.
yeah. No, I did see that discourse, and I was like, whoa. Like,
I saw
but
a lot of
also,
people also like getting upset with Danny Leva's play, but I thought honestly Danny Leva was okay. He wasn't horrible. He wasn't great by any means, but he did the job in the midfield.
Yeah,
I mean,
honestly,
he's no Obed, but like he still
I,
played decently well.
I thought he had a pretty good game. The part I was disappointed about was his set pieces because we know him as like honestly, I think he's a very underrated set piece taker. We see it
mm,
with Defiance a little bit, and I really didn't see a ton of dangerous set pieces from him, especially for kind of a Sounders team that has some that plays very well off set pieces. It's just like I really didn't see what was dangerous there, and I thought that was probably the way the Sounders were going to get back into this game at some point, and that danger was completely gone.
He only
They
had
just
like
started
one
taking corners
decent
at some
set
point.
piece, and that was about it. Like
Yeah.
everything else was
So honestly, I think he
it
was
was pretty
okay
shit.
in play, but the set pieces were where I was disappointed.
It's fair.
that makes sense. I mean, you know, he hasn't. He played a good chunk of minutes in the beginning of the season, right? Like I'm tough on Danny. Like, I mean, because he's 22. Like, I forget that he's 22. And I realize, a lot of these guys have been playing for a while, but still, like, I don't know. I figure he won't always have that consistent performance. I'm sure that's something he'll want to work on, right? Um, yeah, this just it's another thing too is with LAFC is the thought of them still being the boogeyman. Like after this match, I'm like, I'm not putting that sort of label on this match. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
with how they played them last year with what playing them in three different competitions, like that's different. This match in the middle of a three-game stretch on the road, like I'm not putting the same stock in that. You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm not super worried about that. Portland, though, eh,
Oh,
I
wait,
don't
one more
know.
thing about the midweek. Can you say how idiotic it is of MLS to schedule any midweek games during a hyped up rivalry week? Like there's
Oh,
so many
yeah.
teams played 3 games this week, and it just why I don't understand why you would hype up rivalry weeks so much. Just like, oh hey, I'm just gonna toss in the third game in these 4 guys. This is tire them out. But don't
It's tough. The
forget, it's
season's gonna be
rivalry
long,
week.
man. It's gonna be a long season. Yeah, you can't forget that these teams are about to have a packed summer too. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a struggle. I think it's gonna be something we see more and more is these tired teams. I mean, and honestly, at the end of this Portland game, they looked a little bit tired. I can't lie to you.
Maybe get rid of League's Cup. We don't have to worry about it.
I keep forgetting that that's the thing. I keep looking down the schedule. I'm like, oh yeah, look at that. Um, it was also funny looking down at Club World Cup. Ooh, spooky. And then seeing they play Austin FC a few days after that. I'm like, oh, nice. Um, assuming that they don't make it out of hey, I've been surprised before. Um, yeah, no, it's like so many things with rivalry weeks. Like I had to deal with MLB rivalry week and people were mad about the Mariners playing San Diego. It's a whole thing. There's a lot of rivalry weeks happening lately, apparently. Um, yeah, MLS schedule making. I don't understand it. Um, Portland. I yeah, I'll let you guys talk about this one. Mike, I let Owen go first. We're gonna shame Owen for no reason and put him in the corner.
Shame, shame,
Um,
shame.
shame. Um, yeah, what did you see? Were you at this one?
I was, and the
All right.
atmosphere was incredible. I I hate the Timbers and I hate Providence Park for all it is, but the Timbers Army brings it every single time, and they are amongst the best fans in the league. And as much as the equalizer hurt, that stadium was roaring. I was just
Yeah,
impressed with the fans themselves. I mean, but honestly, when it comes to the game itself, Christian Roldan is having an MLS best 11 season. I think he could push himself into an MLS All Star, and he could easily by the end of the year, if he keeps this form up, he should be MLS best 11.
dad strength, man. Right? That's what it's got to be.
It is, yeah, it has to be. I mean, it happened with Jordan last year too.
Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, I was impressed. I had to go back and watch parts of this game as well. Yeah, Christian. It's one of those performances that's just really strong against a team that it's been a struggle in midfield sometimes. I think when the Sounders play this team that they know so well, what happens ends up being that we see the Sounders just try to cross and really bypass the midfield a lot, and I think he helped that not to happen.
I asked this to Albert after the game. That trio with himself, Christian, and Obed, I thought their
Yeah,
movement in the midfield, especially in the first half, was incredible. Their pass sequences, their movement, I thought they took control of the game right from the very beginning. Obviously, he tried to downplay us and like, oh yeah, we played as a team. We all did really well, but like those three stood out for me the most, especially in that first half. It was
yeah,
just it was just so fun to watch.
It was interesting seeing the lineup from this one. You talk about that a little bit. What did we think of Jesus in this one? Because I know seeing the lineup come out, like a lot of folks were really happy seeing everything, and then Jesus. Um,
I mean,
I
one
don't know.
touch in the opposition penalty area is not great.
Oy. Yeah.
I can't
One
lie to
forward
you.
pass in the first half.
Oy.
One single forward pass.
Two chances created.
That is good. Um, Yeah, I just think if we compare him to what that right wing looks like sometimes, I think you have a
Mm.
bunch of different options, and I don't think he was the strongest one. I think he's much stronger centrally, um, or in a two, as we have talked about for a long time, but that's not going to happen
Mhm.
because we're not going back to 3-5-2.
No. He's a luxury player that we saw was available, and so they said, sure. That's how it's feeling right now. And I know that's not what Weibel and Schmetz intended when we brought him on to start of the season, but that's his performances are showing that he doesn't really fit the system at all.
Yeah, it's difficult because I think he's a good player somewhere in
Oh
there.
yeah.
He's just not. It's not showing in this situation, right?
And I think he spent so much time in Dallas being the guy
Mm.
that I think he's getting lost with now with Ryan Kent and Albert Rusnak and Pedro de la Vega, Obed even. Christian's outshining him. Like I think there's like you said, there's so many better options for the Sounders team on the right and the left that he's just kind of there.
Yeah, I think because I think honestly, an interesting like situation to compare here is when you think about Albert Rusnak coming to this team, and how he had to adopt a different role,
Yeah.
but was still a very strong player. And I think that's what they were hoping probably for Jesus to do with this team, and that's kind of the flip side of what has happened here. He really hasn't where Albert had to drop into that pivot and kind of figure that out and play a new role in a team. He wasn't the guy. Jesus has not adapted to that, and that could be to because of a bunch of different things. But the truth is just that it hasn't happened, and that's why we're seeing this.
I want
That
to ask
is
you guys a question with that in mind. Do you think that he will ever be the guy for this team?
Wow. Um, Not in this system. Not in this system.
mm, mm,
I think that it would take Charles can chime in on this too, but I think it would take either a change of system, but also just like how you define the guy is he's either I don't think he's going to be the number nine of the future because that's not his role. Because he's not going to be that kind of guy, and he's not going to be the number 10 because that spot is filled and because of how that number 10 tends to play in the system. So I think it's difficult for him to be there because of the system, barring a change of a change of manager, a change of system, whatever it took. He's not going to be the guy here.
100%. I agree on two things there. Like as soon as you talked about, being the guy and not necessarily fitting in to the just fitting in right away, Albert's who I thought of, like because I saw so much vitriol, dislike, and there's still the people who feel that way about Albert. But just seeing him play where Seattle did have him playing previously, like it made sense why those performances weren't so great. So I wanted to say I agreed with that because that's who I thought of first. When you talk about not quite the right fit. The other thing, yeah, no, in this system, like unless somehow he works really, really hard to become a nine, like hey, again, people have crazy career arcs. It's not impossible, unlikely, right? Um, yeah, I don't think so. I mean, he is 24, which is wild to think about. Like all of that facial hair. I don't have any of that. No, like I I said this in our rain show um that we have with like a Jordan Heidema because a lot of folks think of her in certain ways, you know, it was kind of similar regard like fitting in to like a strict nine. She's not really a strict nine, and Seattle hasn't been trying to play her like that. Um, so I don't want to put limitations on a younger player. Younger again, 24 is not super old, but it's not super young either, especially with how, especially on both sides of football, the players keep getting younger, it seems. Um, but yeah, if he'll ever be the guy, not in the system. Like it will require some change. And I do think it's interesting to go back to what Michael said about how, hey, they saw the shiny toy available and they went and got it. Um, it'll always be really fascinating to me what Craig said about that acquisition, about how the trade with the money involved in Leo Chu, that was what they had available. Like That was their best shot. And I still think that's kind of like not pathetic per se, but I'm just like, wow, that's your best shot? Like for the heights that people wanted them to acquire talent this past offseason, it tells me a lot about what they were working with. So, and that kind of goes towards maybe I don't know if you want to jump to it yet,
Yeah, let's go.
but the I need the exact wording. So if one of you has it, please let me know. But this transfer window, this exclusive transfer window for the Club World Cup, um, yeah, in line with the additional FIFA Club World Cup registration period introduced ahead of the start of this summer's Club World Cup, the EFL and its clubs have agreed that the summer transfer window shall operate for an additional 10-day period from June 1st to June 10th. And we were kind of talking about this. I believe that's the right one, right?
Yeah, that's the right one. Yeah.
We were talking about this before I hit the big shiny red record button. Basically, like there's do we think they're going to do something? I think the real question is what's the reality of this, right? Because it's always interesting when the MLS kind of shows they release the kind of the cap space stuff. I'm used to other sports where that information is like readily available. So when the MLS releases, it's like, oh, nice, I get to see what's going on in here. And Craig did comment on that. He was like, I hope that's right. Um, because he mentioned like he doesn't want folks. I don't know. It's interesting hearing him speak because he's like, "Hey, I'm happy to have fans email me things as long as it's not like directly an insult." He's like, "I'll talk to you about what we're doing, but if you're like fuck you about it." He didn't say that, but that was kind of the main sentiment. Um I don't know. It's exciting if I had like trust that they would use it. Um I've grown up in this city where spending on free agents and that sort of ilk is not really something that happens, right? So I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Because it's nice to have that window, right? Um, I'm not super sure how much I believe that it will be optimized, if you know what I mean. Like, I don't know. I'm very much like, let me see it happen. I don't have a lot of confidence that it will happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a couple of things to consider here. Um, Firstly, that if you're signing a player from Europe, they're coming off a very long season.
Mm,
Um, these players are not appearing at the start of a season right after winter break with a bunch of time to get into a team. They're coming off 38, 40, 50 games, having never played with a team before. We when they made the Ryan Kent signing, I think they got lucky a little bit because of how fit he was, partially because he hadn't been playing, and also how quickly he integrated with the team. But when we talked about the signing, both those were concerns, and he passed them, which was great. But I think if you make a signing in this period, you have to consider that you're not guaranteed to be signing somebody who's going to be an instant starter. And I think if you're making a signing for the Club World Cup, that's the kind of signing you expect.
I mean, honestly, there aren't still that many players available in that small window, especially for the two or possibly three at LAFC if they win their game. MLS teams that are be playing in it because all the players are still contracted with their clubs until the end of June.
no.
So I mean, if like I've already seen some instances where like for example, Trent Alexander-Arnold from Liverpool, he might be given permission to go play for Real Madrid in the Club World Cup, even though that's technically he'll still be contracted through Liverpool to
Yeah.
the end of June. But I think that I don't believe the Sounders are going to make a move. I know that they are targeting a couple under 22 players. I know they're looking at a potential attacking midfielder and a striker and defensive midfielder. I know those are the three positions that they're looking at. And there's three players that I'm tracking, but from what I've been told, they're not going to be making any signings until the actual MLS window in July.
Mm.
And I know that Sounders can bring up the 1.65 million of TAM, whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah,
But
some sort of
I
money.
I don't think they're going to use it.
I think something we should also remember is that, as much as this is a game for the Sounders brand, these games that they're playing big teams could be, a showcase for a guy like Obed Vargas. So, you want to showcase your best players here. Say, hey, this is what we develop. Here's what they look like in a big game. Come buy them. We'll make a signing in June or in July. I think that's also something to consider, that they don't necessarily
Yeah.
want to use these games to integrate new signings because of, like we said, expectation around these games is very low. You play players in these games because of the exposure the club will get, and exposure means players getting views. A lot of people know Obed Vargas, but if he balls out in one of these games, if he plays against Vitinha and those guys and looks good, people are going to notice, and that's what they want. There's another $2 million on his asking price.
Yeah. I mean, well, and that I'm sorry to keep referencing it, but it's always interesting when a general manager speaks, right? Because he did talk about that. He did talk about how that they have heard things. He didn't really go too much into what on Obit, that is. Um, those conversations are there. It doesn't sound like something set in place, right? And I think that's a good thing because as you mentioned, yeah, you're gonna showcase this guy, not and it's not like they're just gonna do that to do it. I mean, he's been one of your more consistent players. Um, yeah, I mean, like I know it's not going to make some people in this fan base happy. I know it's not. I understand that. Um, but yeah, again, great points are made. Again, this is why I have the show because these guys are smart. Um, yeah, no, I mean that'll be the big thing to watch. I think is as Mike was talking about this July period because again, I'm going to reference it. He talked about that slot that they have, and kicking the tires on the right guys. Very much was open about, hey, convincing a guy to come to America, a guy at that age coming to MLS to play here. Um, so yeah, and it's all good discussion. I mean, it is certainly interesting to see, but yeah, I unless something crazy happens, it's like the Goldilocks zone, right? To find someone who would fit into that spot for that period, and I don't know what your options are. I don't imagine there are many, right? Mike, it looks like you have something you want to say.
Not for the Sounders at least. I know. I guarantee
Yeah.
Miami is going to make like a signing or two. It's going to be something stupid like an Angel Di Maria or like Paredes from Roma is going to all of a sudden make a signing. Like it's going to be ridiculous, but I'm going to try and refrain from being jealous and being angry at the Sounders because I just know it's not financially feasible for this club to do that.
Yeah. No, I mean it's all like I understand both sides of it, right? Like my brain has been I've like killed the fan in me to an extent doing so much of this because I do get it, right? As much like I get both of it. I would love a shiny new toy, right? I would love for you to, go face to face. You're gonna go nose to nose with these teams anyway, but like to be able to do so, with some more firepower would be awesome. But like I also get, hey, let's bump up Obed Vargas's price a little bit more so that we can have something else for that next window, as you mentioned. Um, yeah,
Yeah, big picture, right?
yeah, no, because I, mm. Well, that opens up the further debate that some people have of would you rather go all in for a few years and win trophies or create a sustainable product? I like a sustainable product. I want to be a fucking winner consistently, like, but I do get making pushes for titles. Uh, yeah, I don't know. And yeah, I don't know. I, mm.
It's a tough conversation, especially like
It
because we're
is.
all fans of this club, like, but we all also report on this. We have to be a little more realistic.
You do.
It's just hard. We want to see more.
You don't think that Botafogo is afraid of Danny Musovski?
They're
Actually, wait.
scouting him right now, man. They're scouting him. Watch.
I was saying this
Speaking
to.
of Danny Musovski, wait, I need to go off for a second.
Oh
He
boy.
was not part of the 60-man U.S. men's national team roster for the Gold Cup, and I think that is just absurd. I've been pushing this narrative for the last 5 weeks, and I think it's ridiculous.
I told you, he's a system striker, man. He's a
I
system
know.
striker.
System striker. Maybe we need more of those.
They're gonna pay him $60 million. Watch.
Oh Jesus.
Don't let John Lynch in the building.
That's sicko. That's John Lynch. Yeah. Oh God, Brock Purdy. Ooh. Hey, better for me. I was gonna say I have a friend who's a Tottenham fan. I know, hard to believe. Who was giving me shit about the Arsenal PSG. I was like, hey, Arsenal is just wearing them down for when they come play Sounders. It's like I'm not worried about it. Oh God. No, I mean, even the way that's all structured, playing PSG at 9 a.m. It's funny. It is so funny. Um, I don't know. I guess that brings me to not to Owen said big picture, not to use big picture here, but how do you feel about the Sounders at this point? We're what? Oh God damn it, I can't focus. 14 matches in. You're six in the West. You're a win out of fourth. Yeah, like I don't know where are you at with this club because it very much feels like they are kind of building. They're obviously not a finished product. You're not going to be a finished product for 14 matches in, but
Can we go like one sentence each? What's one sentence?
sure, sure. I'll lose my brain here. Oh, you're not. I
Yeah,
thought you
you
had
first.
something cooked up.
It's your first.
Well, I mean,
Um,
I can go, but I was going to open the floor. I mean, I'll just tell you, the Sounders are exactly where I would expect a team called the Seattle Sounders, who operate like the Seattle Sounders, to be in mid-May.
it's a long
This
sentence.
is this is exactly how, if I'm being realistic, I would think the Sounders were like in position to play, like fighting through injuries, looking, in a million competitions, and they just lost LAFC and tied with Portland in two frustrating games. That was two sentences, but oblige me.
The point gets
Semicolon.
across.
Close enough.
Semicolon. Mike, do you have some? You want me to go?
You can go first.
They are who we thought they were. And I'm hopeful for more. Like I really do. Like again, I feel like so often in all of the shows I do, I'm the one with the optimism. And that's fine. Hope is what is the hope that kills you is the Ted Lasso quote.
Mm-hmm.
True. I get my hopes up far too often. I don't know. Like I don't think as much as I love talking about the guy, I don't think we've seen the best of Ryan Kent yet, right? I don't think you've seen the best of Ryan Kent yet. Still haven't, as much as is a broken record to talk about him. Haven't really seen Pedro de la Vega unleash himself, and that's frustrating. You have to get Jackson Reagan back at some point. I think he should be good to go for the next match because I think there Brian was saying that he might travel for Portland. I don't think he did. Um, so you have to get Jackson Reagan back. Oh, with Kim Ki discourse, that's something. I think there's more, and you're still without Michael's favorite player in Jordan Morris, who stared him down from the row of the Lumen Field press box. I'll never forget that. I will
Oh
always
God,
remember.
that's so scary.
So I am hopeful for more, but you certainly have an interesting stretch coming up here of Dallas, mighty San Diego, Minnesota, and so yeah, you'll play two of the best teams in the three of sorry, three of the best teams in the Western Conference right now, and Dallas. The
It
Jesus Ferreira
does.
revenge match. Leo
That's
Chu
Vegas'
revenge match.
first game. Yes.
So yeah, I don't know. I like a lot of this as you get lulled into this pattern with the Sounders, but I am hopeful for more. Again, maybe it's the delusion. As long as there is delusion, there is hope. So that's where I'm at.
That's me the next title of my article. When there's delusion, there's hope. Um, I'm content. The Sounders are a mid-table team. They play like a mid-table team, and they sit in mid-table. That's that's how I feel with the Sounders team right now. I'm not gonna be hopeful just yet until I see a little more. I want to see how the rest of this team operates with when Jordan Morris is back. If he's fully healthy, we'll see with his hamstrings at that point. And when Jackson Reagan's back. Once the team is 100% full strength, then I might change my mind. But Mid table is where we sit. Mid table is where we be.
It's
There you
good.
go.
Good.
It's a happy
Um,
place to be in, right?
yeah, I mean, I'd rather be in this than where we were in like March. Like March, it felt like the club was falling apart. The Space Needle was falling on Lumen Field. It was all terrible. Like it, you know. Um, I will say, if you want to, no, oh, I shouldn't say that. That was mean. I was gonna say
Say it.
there's a Jesus for a meet and greet tomorrow in Woodinville. So if you want to tell him how shiny he
On my
is,
way.
please don't do that. Please don't do that. Um, yeah, I'll put that in because that's cool. I don't know. His for a meet and greet Wednesday, May 21st at Soccer Post in Woodinville. I'm not going to Woodinville. I'm fine. I am. That's too much. I'll put the little promo thing they put in there. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's always cool. Like it's always fascinating to me to see how clubs, teams engage with the fans. It feels like obviously since COVID, there's been a little bit less of that. You can't see Jordan Morris out in the street because Mike might go and yell at him. Oh, your hamstring. So yeah, I don't know. I just think you guys got me hoping again. God damn it. When do we play again? Um oh, in 4 days. 4 days. Four
Noon
days
o'clock.
back at lovely Lumen Field. Who will I see? Oh, I always get excited that I'll see Owen again, but then I remember he's down in Oregon. You're terrible.
Now you're stuck with me.
Yeah, sorry, we have to cover not college and actual postseason play. I know it's tough.
Which one is this?
Super regionals, baby.
Oh, I thought Becca was down at something like track related, I thought.
But yeah, I saw Becca actually. Shout out. We talked about you. Wish how
It's
much
like
we
good
love
or a
you. It's all good.
bad thing.
Oh, a great thing. Yeah. I was wheeling around some like fake plants and said, "What's up?"
All right. All right.
Long story.
So yeah, Saturday, May 24th, noon. Yeah, noon match is gonna be so weird getting out of there at like what, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock is
It's gonna be
so
great. What are you
bizarre.
talking about? I can get home to
It's just
Portland at a decent time.
my body just feels weird. It's just like I should be here at nighttime, especially with how many 7:30 matches they play. Yeah. I guess last anything. I already started going into the schedule. Last call, anything there?
Nah, I'm good.
No, they are where we think they are. They are the team
They
we
are
think
who
they are. Ceiling is higher than the
um
floor. Not even close to the ceiling.
um well then they played Dallas on Saturday, then they have a shorter week because they play San Diego on Wednesday at 5:30 on a Wednesday. What is the MLS schedule? Do we want to talk about a mailbag? Do you want to mention that here?
Oh yeah,
Floor is yours.
maybe throw out a mailbag these next couple games. See how people are feeling about Club World Cup. Get your thoughts together. We'll put some out on Twitter.
Yeah,
Charles
we'll do
put some
that.
out. I'll
But
retweet it.
for the folks on here, um, yeah, guys, we're talking about, the potential of a mailbag. I'm not, as anyone who watches these can tell, I'm not the super in-depth soccer guy here. That's fine. Um, that's why I bring these guys in here. So I don't know. Yeah, just do a little mailbag. Folks have
Take the
opinions.
pulse.
Folks always have opinions, especially with the Seattle Sounders. That is very true. So yeah, open that up again. Well, I think we'll put some out, but uh, do we want to do normal Monday time for the next show? Just considering that they'll play on Wednesday, I think that'll be fine. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
down.
she's
Yeah,
fine.
let's roll it.
And
All right.
then what? Do another Monday, the Monday after.
E- Oh yeah, that'll work because you'll get two matches in with San Diego, and then Minnesota comes here on Sunday the first.
There you go.
Ugh. All right. Oh God, and then we're so close to Botafogo. Oh Lord. All right.
Also, can I just mention how tragic it is that we play? I mean, you said this a bit ago, but we play San Diego, Minnesota, the Whitecaps, and then a week later, Botafogo, the
Yeah.
Libertadores champions, and then Atletico, and then the PSG potential Champions League champions in the final game of the group stage.
Nice and easy.
Ryan Kemp. He will lead us. Him and his tattoos will lead us through it all.
And it's Pet Alligator. Can't forget that.
He just gets cooler by the minute. All right. All right. Well, okay. I will say the 77 kit, I just atrocious. Why are we wearing? I don't like the 77. I'm sorry. Not a big, not a big 77. The guy who's wearing my favorite number is out for the season. So
Nah, he's
tolerate
just
it.
a
I like
huge
the double
Ants and Arrows
sevens.
fan. It's all good.
Jesus. The jersey numbers can be for when we have nothing to talk about. That we can get into jersey number discourse. All right, lads. Oh, it's always good. It's always good to get this going. The boys were excited to talk about this for a while. Maybe a little bit less after the LFC match, but I did get a great as Owen talked about. I got a great kick out of 2-0. They're gonna concede on the counter. I was like, son of a bitch. As soon as he was on the breakaway, I was like looking at my phone.
Clairvoyant.
It was like, all right, lads, let's cut this. All right. Well, till we see you next week. Mailbag. So if you got questions, leave them in comments. Wherever this is gonna go, we will boost that again, so it's not just me talking about this at the end of this episode. So, yeah. Till we see you next week. Take care of yourselves. Be well. Do whatever you can to make today a great day.
Hey, Charles.
Hey, Jen.
Hey. So where are you going to watch all of the Sounder away games this year?
Away games for the Sounders. Well, since Rough and Tumble is the home of Circling Seattle Sports, I was thinking of coming here if that's okay with you.
I think that's a great idea. Go Sounders. Hope we see y'all here.